We've been really good. We've been lucky. When we realised that we were at risk of having COVID and were swabbed, we isolated ourselves, and it hasn't, from that side of things, from the health side of things, we've been really good. We've been lucky. Our symptoms were mild. We've had some sore throats, some mild coughs, a little bit of tiredness at worst. So our health is close to perfect. Yeah, we're good. So the kids have been swabbed. So they, after we was found positive, our advice from that point was to then get the kids up to the John Hunter Hospital for swabs, which Public Health organised that to be done, and so we're just waiting on the kids' results. When they come back, we'll know how to go forward from there, but at the moment we're assuming they're negative, so we've got to sort of keep the masks on, and we've got to have precautions in place to as best we can, have it so that the kids aren't at risk of getting it, which can be tricky, but we've got lots of great advice from Public Health, and we'll wait for their results and go from there. So we went to a wedding 2 weekends ago. We started to hear a few days after that there was possible cases of COVID from the wedding, but just at that stage it was a bit of hearsay and rumour.
Can you stop doing
when we started to hear through official sort of routes that it was official, that there were confirmed cases of COVID from the wedding. That combined with the fact that we'd had some mild cold symptoms, we decided to get tested. A few days later we got the results back, but we'd been isolated from when we heard that we were at risk of having it. Initially we went through a series of interview questions with Public Health. They called us and explained what the result meant. They went through a long list of questions, for going through everything we'd done from the time that we felt that we'd had symptoms. Everywhere we'd been, everyone we'd spoken to or had contact with, they were really thorough. They were very thoughtful and kind, and essentially they took all of our information and they were the ones that took it to the next level. So anyone that we'd been in contact with that they deemed were at risk, they got in contact with them and explained to them what had happened, and told them whether or not they needed to be tested or whether or not they just needed to isolate. So we weren't having to make lots of calls to everyone and explain. They were in contact with our work and kids' schools and things, so it's from that side of things that's been really good. Essentially, where the Public Health unit calls us every day, they check in on our health, and once they're happy we've been symptom free for 48 hours, they said they'll move to the next plan, and that is how to clear us or deem that we're safe to come out of isolation. And that process isn't clear yet, but essentially they feed back each day once they think we're suitable to start the process, and they said it might involve some re-swabbing, or it might just mean we need to have been well for a certain period, but that process is still evolving. Look, it's been fine. Really, the kids have been great. You really just put some structures in place for them, and they just go with it. They're treating it like a holiday, but we set them up in the morning. It's just their usual routine. They get up and have breakfast, and we've got a 6-year-old who likes to get the games out, or the colouring books, or they head out in the backyard and play all sorts of games. But we are mostly just letting them treat it like a holiday, and they've been great. Some of the days they've watched a movie, some days they've just played outside all day, and we're just in that strange time where we're still sort of trying to be distant from them to avoid them getting coronavirus, as hard as that could be, until the point where they say their tests have come back positive, or they'll come back negative, and we'll keep trying to keep the distance.
I said that.
Well, I think we have learnt a lot from the other countries who've gone through this. The lessons are that social distancing and sort of preventing the spread is the most successful way to avoid what are going to be some pretty drastic issues for the healthcare system. It's difficult because a lot of people like myself aren't terribly unwell, and so I think for a lot of people they aren't too concerned because, and for their own health they're right in a way. For a lot of people the symptoms are mild, but I think it's just so important for us to protect the vulnerable, protect our healthcare system, and if you're feeling slightly unwell, if you've had a bit of a cough, or if you've had a fever, or any symptoms that aren't normal, then you should consider self-isolating. You can call up the hotline and get some advice about whether or not you should or shouldn't isolate, whether or not you should be swabbed, and that's probably the best way to do it. It's better to be safe than sorry.